Alright, welcome to the third video where I'm talking you through Menu UI. We're on to the fun stuff, we're on to animations. So if you click on options, we're going to create this animation that flicks you to the back of the bus. Now in this video series we've done Menu UI, so if you want to know how to do all these buttons and make things disappear and change and toggle, then click this button right now because we'll go back to the last video. But today we're creating and triggering animations. And we'll start with the Menu UI fading in. So if you haven't got it open already, go to Windows, Animation, in my case Apple 6. Now have a look at the hierarchy. We want both Main Menu and Options Menu to fade in. So we're going to target the canvas, the parent object, and add a component called Canvas Group. And the cool thing about Canvas Group is it has this property called Alpha, which if we mess around, you can see deals with the opacity of the Menu UI items. So we're going to animate this. So with the animation pane selected, I'm going to create a new animation in the animations folder in my project hierarchy called Fade In Menu. With canvas selected in the hierarchy, I'm going to add property, find the canvas group, and then target the alpha property. So you'll notice it's giving me two set of frames, one at 0 and one at 1. I'm going to select the first frame and move the alpha down to 0. If I play the animation, you can see a nice fade in. And then what I'm going to be doing here at quite a high speed is just moving the animation panes along, so I have a bit of a delay. Before you click play, you want to make sure the animator component is checked. Let's see what this looks like. Okay, so we have a bit of a delay and that fades in and then it disappears and fades in. So what's happening here is the animation is looping. So in your projects folder, find the animator you've named and make sure the loop time is checked off. Okay, now let's work on something more exciting. Let's do start game. So start from the front of the bus, move to the back, and into the window to initiate the game. So let's start. Click main camera, create animation. I've got an animations folder in the project. I'm call this menu to start game, create. So I'm going to expand the animation timeline and find 5 seconds. I've changed from the game screen to the scene screen, and I've moved my viewpoints so I can see above, so I can manipulate my camera easily. And so what I'm doing here is I'm moving my camera to where I want it in 5 seconds. And notice it's automatically placed some keyframes at the 0 mark. So this will tween the animation between the 0 mark and where I am. And I'm using the camera preview to figure out where my camera is facing. So I'm going to rotating it now to orientate the camera so it's face on to the bus doors. Alright, so this is where I want my animation to end. Now if I mess around with the playhead, this is what the animation is doing, and it goes through the bus, which isn't ideal. So what we do is we go through the animation where it's about to go into the bus. Now this is kind of as far from the bus I want the camera to be. If I flick back to my scene, I can adjust the camera to instead of going into the bus, to kind of circling outside of it by manually positioning it. So I'm going through the tween and I'm manually positioning the camera away from the bus, so it ends up circling around the bus rather than going through it. So when I click play, this is what I should see, the animation just kicking in and going right into the back of the bus. Okay, so you should have two problems. One, the animation starts automatically, and two, it loops. So let's fix the looping. In the projects tab, you want to find your animation. Mine's in the animation folder. You want to click on the animation, and in the inspector there should be a box checked called loop time. You want to uncheck that. Now to deal with the second problem of the animation starting automatically, you want to go to the main camera, open the animator, or double click the animator component to open the animator. So what it's doing is it's going from entry straight to menu to start game animation. So what you want to do is you want to right click, create a empty state, and I'm going to rename that from new state to idle. Then right click and set as default state. So if I click play now, all I'm going to get is the bus. So what I need to do is link the animation we made, menu to start game, and trigger it on a button click. So I need to right click, make a transition, and connect it to my animation, menu to start game. So locate this panel, this left hand panel on the animator, go to parameters, add a new parameter, trigger, and call this whatever you want. We'll be referencing this in the script. The other thing you need to do is click on the arrow connecting your animations, add a condition, and make sure it's the same as the trigger, start game. So let's script that trigger. First thing we need to do is define a private animator called anim, which we'll be using throughout the script. Now this script is attached to the main camera, So menu systems is attached to the main camera, and so is the animator we want. So we don't need to write a parent object like options or start game. We can just go straight to anim equals get component animator. We're fine. So now we've defined our animator, we can add triggers. So under the start game button, we're going to go animator.setTrigger and then the name of the trigger we gave it. So in my instance it was called start game. So let's flick over to our game screen and click new game, and this will trigger our animation. You might notice a bit of delay between clicking new game and it kicking in. So what I want to do is, you see the idle state that's playing, that's before I click the button. If I increase the speed, increase the amount of time it loops over the idle state, so when I click new game, it immediately, or much quicker, goes into the animation, depending on idle speed. So I'm going to create a new animation called menu to options, because this animation, when you click the options button, will take you to the back of the bus where the options menu is presented to you. So I created a new animation clip, put it in the animations folder, it's shown up in my animator, and I make a transition to it. I'm going to create a new trigger parameter and call it go to options. With that done, I need to click on the arrow between idle and menu to go options and set the condition as what the trigger is, which is go to options. So if I click play, and if I click the options button, it takes me to the options menu, but it doesn't trigger any animation because we haven't told it to yet. So let's go into our script, find the options button, so where it triggers the options menu, and we want to trigger an options animation. And just as we did with start game, we go anim.setTrigger, and then we write the name of our trigger, which was go to options. Give that a save, and this will trigger an animation that I will make right now. So just as we did earlier in this video, we're going to create an animation that spins around, but instead of going into the bus, it goes around to the back of the bus. So that was a very sped up version of creating this animation that flicks around, goes to the back of the bus, and it will loop. So don't forget, in your projects folder, find the animation and uncheck loop time. So what we should have now is, let me just play the game. So if you click options, the options menu will come on, which is obviously an issue. We need to delay that. I'll talk about that in the next video. The other thing we can do is this black fade in when you go into the bus and fade out from black at the beginning of the scene. And that will be discussed in the final video of this series on Menu UI.